Welcome everyone to CDO Magazine series of one-on-one interviews with CDOs, data leaders, and key influencers. I'm your host, Robert Lutton, Vice President, Sandhill Consultants, and I'm coming to you today from Toronto, Canada. Working with the CDO Magazine today, I have the pleasure of introducing Elif Tutuk. Elif is the VP of Product at AtScale, whose company's solution offer a consolidated view of data access across the organization. Welcome, Elif.
Welcome, Robert. It's great to be here.
From your point of view on the impact that Gen AI is having in the business intelligence and analytic world, we see that Gen AI presents exciting opportunities for automation and predictive analytics. However, from your point of view, how can organizations ensure that these AI systems are properly developed and deployed ethically, particular in areas where customer profiling may be important and where some inadvertent biases could lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I think, as you said, we are in an extremely exciting time. Like with Gen AI, the content creation just becomes much more efficient. And I think really we are at the stage of, we will start seeing the next generation of BI. We have been referring this as the augmented analytics for a while in the market, but really kind of, Gen AI is putting that on steroid because, the content creation will become like, you can just ask a natural question and then, you will get the answer. Or the content doesn't have to be a visualization. It can be a data story generated on the fly for you with the right format. But the challenge with all those things is, as you know, generative AI, number one challenge is the hallucination problem. So when you ask a question, you may get an answer, but then next time you ask, you may not get the same answer.
Right.
So that is where I see the combination of using Gen AI with a semantic layer is important, because semantic layer has the governance and the business definition, so that the fiscal calendar of a quarter has only defined, and then generative AI, when you ask a question, show me my sales by quarter, it uses that definition of quarter and that definition of sales so that you get more constant answers. So I really think that, to provide governance to Gen AI, especially for the insight generation, semantic layer should be part of that. And of course, like the other things like data quality and transparency, like all the things that relate to traditional AI still is there, and it should be still be paid attention.
You're certainly thought-provoking thoughts as to what is coming out in the marketplace. Continue on with Gen AI's potential to automate insights and recommendations. In your opinion, how can data leaders who are listening establish robust data governance programs with compliance frameworks to protect such sensitive information and adhere to privacy regulations, whether it's in Europe or in California or in other countries? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so what I'm seeing is really, again, the challenge that we have been having, they were all the same with the traditional AI, and now they are just being put on steroid with Gen AI. So I suggest that, organizations should start looking at having a data privacy officer, having a person responsible for overseeing the data privacy and compliance efforts. Data mapping and classification is very important. Making sure that, you determine what data contains sensitive and personal information. And then just overall data privacy policies and procedures should be in place with the data access controls.
So here's another one that, is an interesting question as we continue to leverage Gen AI. There's no doubt that it's expected that Gen AI will augment human decision-making in BI and analytics. And you talked about, some of those aspects coming down the line. But from your point of view, how do you see organizations effectively strike the right balance between automation and human expertise, ensuring that human oversight remains central to the critical decision points?
Yeah. So I think, as you said, it is going to be a combination of the human working with the machine. Yep. And it's very important to create that experience where you can actually interact with it and then provide the input so that it gets better by time. Again, I'm going to go back to the knowledge gravity, right? I think, part of that knowledge will always come from the human. So that's why, when you're thinking about a semantic layer where you define the business logic, you need to have that welcoming experience where it is easy to define for the human. But of course, like automation will happen with Gen AI, probably like, the system will be able to look at the schemas of the tables and then create a base semantic model for you that you can augment on top of that. So I would say that, definitely like it's going to be a balance between human and the machine working together. And it's all about creating that experience where they can collaborate and they can learn from each other.
Yeah, those are definitely interesting times ahead of us as well. Moving on to the persona area, just in our last couple of minutes. So we see the role for data and analytics personas evolving. And there's obviously a need for the expanded skill set that it requires modern and data analytics personas. How can an organization effectively develop and nurture those skills within those teams? We're talking about skill building and building up the teams internally. Recommendations on that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So my recommendations will be for the organizations to first of all do an assessment of the current skill gaps. Like, does your employees know enough about what is generative AI? And it's not a hype, but how it works and what are the things that they should be aware. Of course, the training around data ethics and compliance is a must going forward.
Right.
And I also think that humans will have, like with all of those automations and content creation becoming more effective, efficient, I think humans will have more chance and time to be human and to really shine as a human with the creativity and to spend their time on what the human is good at. So with that, I think cross-functional collaboration will be very important so that all the team members can actually learn from each other and gain a deeper understanding of the business and its goals. Because ultimately create that knowledge gravity, you need to have that type of understanding of the business. So I think the shift will be from having technical skills, because Gen AI is going to handle that. You will naturally, with natural language, you will tell it will create a query for you. But it is more than you need to spend time more understanding the business and business innovation.
I think that's an important distinction you just mentioned there, and it may get glossed over. It's definitely going to be a matter of understanding the business as we move forward. That's key, because we'll have technology that'll take the details of managing the technology away, and what you're left with is just managing the business. And speaking of the business, my last question on that side is that in measuring the impact and collaboration, how do you see organizations developing KPIs that can measure the impact of data and analytics persona in terms of decision making and innovation and business outcomes? Any KPIs that you think we should be leaning towards that you would recommend that organizations start to think about using?
Yeah, in terms of like specific KPIs, I would say that every organization has their own KPIs. So I wouldn't give a specific KPI, but my suggestion will be for organizations to really apply product-led and design thinking approach when it comes for them to create data and analytics products, because when you think about software development, it's all about being user-centric, and they have to apply the same type of things when they create their analytics products. They need to identify their target users, what's their specific problem or the questions that they are asking, and they need to have defined clear objectives and a definition of a minimum viable product, just like thinking about product, and then to make sure that they determine their own KPIs that they can measure against that minimum viable product that they have started, so that they can iterate as the business changes, and then improve that analytics product. So my suggestion is, I don't have a out of box magic KPI, but it is more about have them start thinking about like a product approach, product management when it comes to applying design thinking on the analytics products.
I think it's been said many times before, there is no silver bullet. It takes a hard work, but certainly with products like AtScale coming to market, that hard work will get easier and more efficient over time. Elif, I'm sure we could delve into many more details, but we're coming up on our time here. So on behalf of the CDO Magazine, we'd really appreciate you taking your time to provide your insights on these topics. We certainly hope we're going to get a chance to have you come back and share your expertise and knowledge with our community again. Thanks very much indeed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robert, giving me the chance to talk about the Lego building blocks, analytics mesh, and and the magic of AtScale. So and all the other important concepts. So thank you very much for having me.
I did like the Lego blocks, and of course, Lego is getting much more dynamic and creative, and the models that they can create with Lego is definitely worthwhile. So for our listeners, please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Thank you.